Welcome to Dark 10. Today, we're going to go over 10 times when UFO have really visited Earth. Make sure to watch until number 1, because it's one of the most interesting space events I've ever seen. In popular culture, a UFO, unidentified flying object, is thought to be an alien spacecraft. However, its definition includes any unexplained aerial phenomenon. UFO sightings have been reported in different parts of the world throughout recorded history, prompting doubts regarding life on other planets and whether extraterrestrials have visited Earth. Following the advent of rocketry after World War II, they were a major source of fascination and the inspiration for several films and literature. Number 10. Flying saucers. The earliest well-known UFO incident was in 1947, when businessman Kenneth Arnold claimed to have seen a group of 9 high-speed objects while flying his tiny plane near Mount Rainier in Washington. The crescent-shaped objects moved at a speed of several thousand miles per hour, according to Arnold, who described them as moving like saucers skipping on water. The following newspaper account incorrectly indicated that the UFOs were saucer-shaped, thus the term flying saucer. Number 9. The Roswell Ufo Incident. Rancher W.W. Mac. Brazel discovered a suspicious 200-yard-long debris near an army base in Roswell, New Mexico, the same year Arnold spotted the flying objects. It was stated in the local press that it was the wreckage of a flying saucer. Though the newspaper photographs suggested otherwise, the U.S. military issued a statement indicating it was merely a weather balloon. In the 1950s, dummies with latex, skin, and aluminium bones that looked disturbingly like aliens fell from the sky over New Mexico and were hurriedly scooped up by military vehicles, fanning the flames of conspiracy. This appeared to be a government cover-up to many who believed in the earlier Roswell occurrences. These dummy drops were used by the Air Force to test novel ways for pilots to survive falls. The military later admitted that the Roswell wreckage was part of Experiment Mogul, a top-secret atomic espionage project, in a statement released 50 years later. Number 8. Project Blue Book. As reports of unusual airborne occurrences became more common, the U.S. Air Force launched Project Sign in 1948 to investigate them. Cold War tensions were rising, and the original consensus among those engaged with the project was that the UFOs were most certainly advanced Soviet aircraft. However, some experts speculated that they could be spacecraft from other worlds, a theory known as the extraterrestrial hypothesis, ETH. Within a year, Project Sign was superseded by Project Grudge, which was followed in 1952 by Project Blue Book, the longest running of the official UFO investigations, based at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. Between 1952 and 1969, Project Blue Book collated reports of over 12,000 sightings or incidents, which were either 1. Identified, with a known astronomical, atmospheric, or artificial, human-caused, phenomenon or 2. Unidentified. The last category, which accounted for about 6% of the total, contained examples where there was insufficient evidence to create a match with a known phenomena. Number 7. The Robertson Panel and the Condon Report. The UFO phenomenon had become a national fascination in the United States. A controversial sequence of radar and optical encounters happened at National Airport in Washington, D.C. during the sweltering summer of 1952. Although temperature inversions in the air over the city were blamed for the occurrences, not everyone believed this theory. Meanwhile, the number of UFO sightings has reached an all-time high. As a result of this, the CIA convinced the U.S. government to form an expert panel of scientists to research the phenomenon. The group, which included other physicists, an astronomer, and a rocket engineer, was led by H.P. Robertson, a physicist at the California Institute of Technology in Pasadena, Calif. In 1953, the Robertson panel examined military officials and the head of Project Blue Book over the course of 3 days. They also looked at UFO footage and images. They came to the following conclusions. 1. 90% of the sightings could be easily attributed to astronomical and meteorological phenomena, e.g., bright planets and stars, meteors, auroras, ion clouds, or earthly objects such as aircraft, balloons, birds, and searchlights. 2. There was no obvious security threat, and 3. There was no evidence to support the ETH. Parts of the panel's report remained classified until 1979, fueling allegations of a government cover-up throughout that time. In 1966, at the request of the Air Force, a second committee was formed to analyze Project Blue Book's most fascinating information. 2 years later, this group, which had conducted a thorough investigation into 59 UFO incidents, published its findings as Scientific Study of Unidentified Flying Objects, also known as the Condon Report, after the physicist who directed the research, Edward U. Condon. A special committee of the National Academy of Sciences examined the Condon Report. A total of 37 scientists contributed chapters or sections to the study, which detailed examinations into the 59 UFO sightings. The group, like the Robertson panel, decided that the claims contained no proof of anything other than typical phenomena and that UFOs did not justify further examination. Project Blue Book was decommissioned in 1969 as a result of this, as well as a decrease in sighting activity. Number 6. Area 51. Multiple UFO sightings were claimed at Area 51 in Nevada in the 1950s and 1960s, a site used by the CIA, the U.S. Air Force, and Lockheed Martin to test experimental aircraft, or black aircraft. According to declassified records, Area 51 was home to a Cold War operation dubbed Oxcot, which was tasked with developing a spy plane that could gather intelligence behind the Iron Curtain while remaining invisible in the air. The SR-71 Blackbird, F-117 Nighthawk, and Archangel 12, A-12, that resulted were capable of speeds of almost 2,000 miles per hour. These mystery planes fueled theories that Area 51 was utilized to perform extraterrestrial life and spacecraft research. Number 5. Fighter jets took off for an unknown object. Fighter planes took off in 2005 in search of a mysterious item that was supposed to travel over the Bohunice nuclear power plant. 2 planes observed an unexplained item flying over central Slovakia at the time. 2 flying planes faced each other, obviously at different altitudes. Something had just flown over the cockpit, one informed us. Something had flown very rapidly near to his wing, according to the one who flew over him and against him. When we questioned if it was an aeroplane, he replied that it didn't appear like one, said the dispatcher. Number 4. USS Theodore Roosevelt UFO Incidents. The Pentagon UFO films include selected visual recordings of cockpit instrumentation displays from U.S. Navy fighter planes located aboard aircraft carriers USS Nimitz and USS Theodore Roosevelt in 2004, 2014, and 2015, as well as additional footage captured by other Navy personnel in 2019. The 3 blurry, black and white recordings, commonly regarded as officially proving UFOs, received a lot of media attention in 2017. In 2020, the Pentagon addressed and publicly released the first 3 recordings, and in 2 announcements in 2021, the Pentagon acknowledged the provenance of the leaked 2019 videos. Drones or unidentified terrestrial aircraft, anomalous or artifactual instrument readings, physical observational phenomena, e.g., parallax, human observational and interpretive error, and, as is typical in the context of such incidents, extraordinary speculations of alien spacecraft have all been proposed as explanations. Number 3. Slovakia pilot UFO sighting. Audio recording of the dispatcher's conversation with the cargo plane's pilot. The pilot inquires as to whether or not there is a military drill taking place on the ground. The dispatcher responds that there is some exercise, but it is located in Slovakia's eastern region. According to the pilot, a rocket flew just under them 3 minutes ago, from left to right. The dispatcher looked it over and found no additional information. The pilot recognized it as a rocket, which meant it had to be fast and have some propulsion. Military bases in Slovakia, which borders the Czech Republic and Poland, were visited by dispatchers. With no success. Number 2. UFO sightings in the United Kingdom. This is a list of significant UFO or unidentified flying object, UFO, sightings in the United Kingdom. Since the National Archives gradually released the Ministry of Defense's UFO sighting records between 2008 and 2013, many more sightings have been known. Many sightings of groups of slowly moving lights in the night sky have occurred in recent years, which can be simply explained as Chinese lanterns. Project Condign, which ran from 1997 to 2000, found that all unidentified aerial phenomenon occurrences in the UK may be traced to misidentified but explainable objects or poorly understood natural phenomena. In the month of January 1254, in tranquil sky and clean air, with stars blazing and the moon 8 days old, there suddenly came in the sky a kind of enormous ship gracefully shaped, well furnished, and of marvelous color, a scribe in St. Albans, England, wrote about a brilliant floating light. A flat, round sparkling silvery thing flew overhead of the friars of Byland Abbey in 1290. This report, however, was a fake staged in the 1950s by two teens. The 13th of July 2013, while flying at 34,000 feet above Berkshire, an Airbus A320 pilot observes an item coming in on his passenger airliner and passing uncomfortably close to the cockpit. Because he didn't have time to conduct an evasive maneuver, the captain immediately dove, believing a crash was imminent. A big pyramid object was sighted low in a field in Penturch, Wales, on February 26, 2016. The craft ejected a smaller vehicle, which was pursued through the woods of Smilog. Several military planes and helicopters were seen in the region both before and after the incident. Near Smilog forests, Launtresant, an explosion was heard. Number 1. Pilot's UFO sighting over New Mexico. According to public audio, the pilot saw a long cylindrical object that almost looked like a cruise missile type of thing, traveling incredibly rapidly directly over the top of them at a height of 37,000 feet. Flight 2292 was the source of the radio message, according to American Airlines. A pilot reported sighting an item over New Mexico soon after noon local time on Sunday, February 21, 2021, the FAA said a few days later. On their radarscopes, FAA air traffic controllers saw no object in the region. Subscribe Dark 10 and turn on notifications so you don't miss more videos of creepy, interesting, or scary facts and much more. If you liked this video, check out my other videos. I'm sure you will enjoy them very much as well. Take care.